Thank you. First item up, and I'm sure you're all here for this, is to consider and act upon the minutes of the regular meeting of December 6th, 2017. May I have a motion to accept?
Make a motion.
A second?
Second.
Any comments or discussion?
No.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next up, the 2017 Fairfielder and Employee of the Year Awards. Want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Want to take a moment and just step through what these awards are all about. For the past 14 years, the Fairfield Board of Selectmen has been awarding outstanding individuals with the Employee of the Year Award and the Fairfielder of the Year Award. Each fall, all members of the public, including town and school employees, are encouraged to submit nominations for either or both awards. These awards have become a popular and rewarding tradition in our town. They give the Fairfield community an opportunity to highlight the many wonderful and devoted residents and employees who go above and beyond and serve as the backbone for our town. I want to thank everyone who submitted a nomination this year. Our town is very fortunate to have such high caliber of individuals and a high caliber of dedicated and devoted people. And now, let's kick this off with the Employee of the Year. The primary criteria for this award are service and job performance that go beyond the daily work of the individual and benefits the community and town government. Additional criteria include, but is not limited to, performance excellence, reliability and dependability, initiative, integrity, judgment, cooperation and spirit, outstanding public service, and unique contributions to improve government services. The Board of Selectmen and I are very pleased to announce this year's winner for Employee of the Year goes to Mark Barnhart. If you'll just stand there and be quiet for a little bit. We have a few things to say. The Selectmen and I want to welcome and thank everyone who nominated Mark Barnhart as the 2017 Employee of the Year, including people from previous years. I want to welcome Mark's wife, Kate, and their children who are here with us tonight. Where, Kate? There we are. All right. All right, and children, yes. I'd also like to ask the following nominators to come up front to the podium to say a few words on Mark's behalf. I'll ask that those being asked to come up in front to speak about tonight's winners, please keep your comments brief as appropriate. First up, I'd like to ask Peter Penzer to join us at the podium. Peter. Use it. Peter, no, it's the mic in your hand. That one. Congratulations. Oh.
There's a push button.
It's part of our top secret security communication system. There we are.
Okay. Congratulations, Mark. The honor is very much deserved. The initiative, assuredness, and confidence that Mark brings to any problem coming his way is remarkable. We think of Mark as running the Economic Development Office and the Affordable Housing Office, but it isn't just the Commerce Drive Planning Study, Restaurant Week, or the Navy Housing Project conversion. Mark has, without hesitation, for example, stepped in to gather and rationalize the information needed to settle amicably the remaining issues at the end of the Metro North train station project, found grants for sidewalk improvement, for repair and replacing of a sewer trunk line, for cleaning up the Rooster River, and even now for a new major planning study of the Metro North Commerce Drive Kings Highway East area, to prepare for the coming years. The Sacred Heart Graduate Business School did a feasibility study for the community theater for Mark, and he has worked closely with the Chamber of Commerce, the Fairfield Museum and History Center, and the Fairfield Theater Company. Those are only examples and barely scratch the surface. Mark has a great ability to engage and work with others, and he gets results. So again, congratulations, Mark, and thanks to the Board of Selectmen for recognizing your ability and your achievements.
And I believe Beverly Ballas would like to join us and make a few remarks on her own.
Congratulations, well deserved. Mark is an outstanding steward of Fairfield and manages both areas of economic development and community relations. As president of the Chamber of Commerce and having worked in partnership with Mark for about 4.5 years, I have found that Mark has a great spirit, is respectful of all opinions, and is resourceful and very professional. And his collaborative nature allows for an extremely high success rate of getting things done. He is always thinking of what's best for the town and is accessible and happy to work with all the town departments to achieve common goals together while supporting the business community on every level. He looks for innovative ways to attract businesses and boost tourism, but also respects that Fairfield's quality of life is meant for everyone. Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you, Bev. Would my colleagues like to add a few words?
Yeah, I certainly would. Congratulations, Mark, as a fellow municipal employee, not of the town of Fairfield, but of the town you formerly ran. I know the trials and the tribulations and the things you do behind the scenes people don't recognize. And one of the big things was briefly mentioned upon was the planning studies. I mean, that is, I call it the fruit of gods, right? Nobody understands how they get done, but it's people like you who get them done. The grants which we have to apply for, they're thick, they're really thick, and someone actually has to input the data, and that man, I'm sure, has been you and your office to get that done. Everybody expects it to get done, and it goes to one of the reasons why you're receiving the awards tonight is dependability. You've been a man throughout the years here in Fairfield who's been able to get it done, so I really appreciate the efforts you've done in that. I'd also like to touch upon the fact that you're more than an employee of the town of Fairfield. You're a recognizable figure when you walk down the street. People recognize and associate you with economic development, with the Chamber of Commerce, with the restaurant weeks, and everything which goes into the community relations and the outreach you do. So I recognize as well and appreciate everything you've done. And the final thing, people at home don't realize everything which economic development encompasses. They just look back and they wait, did we get Amazon? It's the heavy lifting and the big splash newspaper articles, which a lot of people mark, say, hey, listen, what's the bar at? Well, the bar is doing the day-to-day operations, the dependability, doing the grants, doing the studies, moving the town of Fairfield forward, almost one sidewalk at a town and one neighborhood at a town. So you're well deserved of this award.
Mr. Kiley.
Sure. Mark, congratulations, and thank you very much for all the hard work you have put into our town. It has been an absolute pleasure to work with you side by side since 2002 when you were first hired for Fairfield. And since then, our town has changed a lot. Our town has grown. Downtown is a vibrant place to be because of many of the efforts that you have made along the way to bring businesses in, to keep businesses engaged, and to keep shoppers coming downtown to keep our merchants moving forward. So thank you for all those efforts. Over the years, you've done a lot of great things for affordable housing as well, and we certainly appreciate those efforts, as does the citizens, as do the citizens of our town who are in desperate need of affordable housing. So thank you for those efforts as well. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes things that you do that don't come to the public eye, but it's that work that you do behind as a team and as part of Fairfield's team that makes the things happen on the outside that we notice. The rental rates are fair, our occupancy rates are very high, our businesses are doing well, and we are doing better with affordable housing, so thank you for all that. And there's a great challenge out there too, right? As our town changes, as we find new and creative ways to grow and expand our grand list. Metro Center, Commerce Drive, the community theater, what we do with Exide. We have a lot of things that we need to figure out over the next few years, and we're confident having you by our side to make those decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mark, there's a whole lot of things we could list and say, and we could keep everybody here for most of the evening, listing all the different things you do. I think there are a few highlights that come back to me. I know that when I first took this job, you were the project manager on the Metro Center. And I can't believe, once we got you off of that, how much you've been able to do when you got back to your real job of economic development. So I'm thrilled we were able to do that. I look at kind of how you manage the changing funds on things like the community block grant program to make sure we're doing the most for our residents and for our not-for-profits here in Fairfield. And you kind of take that and manage that through. And certainly what you've been doing lately, we've just talked about the economic development websites and social media and how we're promoting the town. And you are one of the key players in terms of the Fairfield County 5, in terms of our 5 towns, Greenwich, Stamford, Norwalk, Westport, and Fairfield, getting together and promoting us, and frankly replacing county government, because we don't have county government, to Westchester and New York businesses, and getting more of them to take a look at what Fairfield County has to offer. And despite some of the issues the state is going through, how vibrant our economy is and how much more we can offer companies. You've literally brought in, and someday I guess we should add them up, but millions and millions of dollars in grants to our community, and that have helped save taxpayer money, but also done so much good for our community in terms of what's taking place. From my standpoint, when you look around at department managers, one of the things you need is not somebody that you can hand something to and say, do this. You need somebody you can hand something to and say, solve this. And Mark is the consummate problem solver in terms of what's taking place. And I personally value that. That's invaluable to our town because you're very creative in terms of knowing what's out there, how we can approach it, working with other department heads when need be, working with other towns when need be to put things together. And I want to thank you for that. And certainly looking forward to your creativity, problem-solving talents in helping us grow the grand list in the years ahead. Consider this recognition a down payment on that achievement. Let's see. As I look at my program here, I think what's next is you actually get to say a few words.
I'll use
The other mic.
this one. I'm not often at a loss for words, but I'm actually pretty speechless at this point. The surprise was complete. I usually pride myself in being fairly astute and savvy in terms of these things, but when you asked that I would come here and present a report on the holiday shopping stroll, I didn't think anything of it. So I'm fully prepared to report on the holiday shopping stroll later this evening. But I do appreciate all the kind words from everyone here, the board, Beverly Ballas and Peter Penzer, with whom I've worked for many years as the chairman of the Economic Development Commission. It's always a team effort. I'm very blessed to have not only collaborative partners such as the Chamber of Commerce, but my own staff who do yeoman's work in terms of, filling out the grant applications and answering calls and dealing with all the day-to-day minutia so that I can get other things done. I do see my role as that of a problem solver, and that's one of the things that keeps me coming to work every day because I enjoy the challenge and enjoy working to help creatively solve problems and move the town forward. And it's a great place to work, and I very much enjoy serving the people of Fairfield. It's a tremendous honor to do so. And I'd also like to thank my wife and my kids who put up with me many times and put up with evening meetings where I'm called out for these types of things. I try to manage that as best I can, but But it is definitely something that everyone has to make some sacrifices along the way, and I do appreciate their support and guidance along this road. So again, thank you very much for the honor. It's a tremendous privilege to stand before you, and I do appreciate the recognition.
All right. Next up is Fairfield of the Year. And in a highly unique and precedent-breaking development, we actually have co-Fairfielders of the Year this year. So let's, first things first, talking about the award. The primary award and criteria are personal time, energy, and talent of service to the residents of the town of Fairfield. Such criteria includes, but is not limited to, outstanding volunteer commitment that benefits an individual, group, or the entire community, unique achievement that benefits our community, a model citizen who reflects the positive values of the town of Fairfield, exceptional personal qualities, including and also not limited to leadership, initiative, reliability, dependability, integrity, cooperation, and spirit. And now, the Selectmen are very pleased to honor Mr. Tom Quinn as the 2017 Sheriff of the Year. I want to recognize the dozens of family members of Tom Quinn, including his wife Grace, who are here tonight. Can you all stand up so we can applaud you? Thank you. We've got a few folks that would like to say some remarks, and I'd like to first ask Mr. Chris DeWitt, Board of Finance member, who'll also read Board of Finance Chair Tom Flynn's nomination form.
Oh, I've been waiting for this. Oh. You know, before I start, there's a long-standing tradition among military service members to give each other as much grief as humanly possible, especially someone of another service. But behind this tradition is certainly a deep-seated respect. So when I tell you that me, an Air Force guy, gets grief from a certain crusty old Army guy all the time, it's the truth. That's what makes reading this nomination so very difficult tonight for me. So I'm going to read my nomination letter. To the Fairfielder of the Year Nomination Committee, I would like to nominate Tom Quinn for Fairfielder of the Year 2018. Tom is a proud United States Army veteran who has extended his volunteer spirit far beyond his selfless service to his country. He is an active member of American Legion Post 143 and has gone through the leadership chairs of that organization to become commander. He currently serves as Senior Vice Commander of that post. In his capacity as an officer with Post 143, he spends every Veterans Day at our town schools, helping to educate our children on the sacrifice that many women and men have given to our country to keep us safe and free. He's a familiar figure on Memorial Day, especially in the parade. But Tom Quinn wears many hats in Fairfield. Many adults and children know Tom as the building committee chair for Riverfield School. This monumental effort to integrate town bodies, students, teachers, PTA, and work constant issues was daunting. Tom handled it with ease and with his own inevitable sense of grace. Building committees are not easy, especially for the chairman, but rather than enjoying the hard work and the end result at Riverfield, he then volunteered to be chairman at the Holland Hill Building Committee. So he's on yet another building committee, and just tonight he was recruiting for the next one, and he doesn't even know what that is. So he currently serves on that committee today, and that project has already proved to have some challenges. Tom is a dedicated and motivated individual. Even though a medical condition has left him with an oxygen tank as a constant companion, it has not slowed him down. I heard Tom speak at the Fairfield Woods Middle School graduation this year, where he told the children not to be like him when he started smoking cigarettes. He held up his oxygen tank and told them, "You don't want this around your neck every day." And for me, this statement is symbolic of his willingness to share of himself. I've personally seen Tom in leadership roles presenting at the Board of Finance and at our American Legion events. You can't help but like him, even though we try not to. Even when he pokes fun at me for being an Air Force guy. So for Tom's thankless dedication to his country, his town, his community, and the children he clearly loves, I nominate Tom Quinn for Fairfield of the Year 2018. Respectfully, Christopher DeWitt. And just a quick couple words from Mr. Flynn, Tom Flynn, right? I'm thrilled that Chris DeWitt and my nominations of Tom Quinn for Fairfielder of the Year were successful. We have had the pleasure of watching Tom's leadership of several school building committees over the past number of years from our view on the Board of Finance. Tom represents what is best of the town of Fairfield, a thoughtful, caring, service-oriented person that puts the town and his fellow citizens above his own self-interest. Through good times and challenges, even good health and poor health, Tom shows up and gets the job done. He is a great role model, not just for his own grandchildren, but for the entire town. In short, we need more Tom Quinns, and we are damn lucky to have him. So congratulations, my friend. I'm sorry that work commitments have kept me from being there in person, but please know you are in my thoughts. Warmest regards, Tom Flynn, Chairman of the Fairfield Board of Finance.
Thank you, Chris. Next, we have some remarks from Lieutenant Owen Fish Memorial Post 143 Commander, Ron Drew.
Well, there's only 11 more days in 2017, though, you know. I'm Ron Drew, as he said, Commander of Post 143, Owen Fish. Tom and I have worked on that post for about 10 years now, on and off. And Tom went from right up the ladder through the various different officers assigned to commander. Stayed commander, what, 4 years, 5 years? 5 years. And then passed over to me. So now he's a senior commander, I'm the commander. And we're the 1-2 punch for military in this town. You know, anybody that needs any kind of military answers or whatever, come to Tom first. If they come to me, I send them to Tom. You know? And you know I'm right. Tom is really like the energy bunny, you know, the kind of, you see with the, whatever. Don't get wise. So everybody knows and respects Tom in the military area. We have the VFW in town. We have another post 74 in town, American Legion. We have Port 5 over there in Bridgeport. We have DAV. They all know Tom. Everybody respects him also. Some of the accomplishments that, well, let me tell you a little bit about how he excels to me. And this isn't a complete list, but he excels to me in decision making. Tom can make decisions. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. You know, a decision's a decision, but you don't want no decision. That's not Tom. Okay? Achievement. He always meets his goals. Whatever it takes to solve a problem, he'll do it. Okay? And he's like my right-hand person right now, and he knows it. And he knows that in some cases I'm his right-hand person. We make a good team, I think. Communication skills, both oral and written. There's no doubt about it. He's very talented on saying the right thing and not embarrassing anybody and not teeing somebody off in plain words. But he gets the job done. Okay, tact and diplomacy. That's tough when you really think about it. And be tactful and everybody may not like what you're doing or what you're saying, but there's a way of saying it and doing it that makes them feel good. Tom knows how to do that. Of course, sometimes a little wise-ass remarks, but that's okay. We all love him for that. And delegating. That's we meet at our executive board the second Monday of every month over in Owen Fish. And we go around the table, and everybody gets assigned something to do. So even though Tom and I can do it, we let somebody else do it because that's the way to grow. It's the way to have them grow through the ranks in our post. And we had our vice commander last meeting. Tom couldn't make it. I couldn't make it. The vice commander, junior vice, took over and became the commander for that one meeting. And I understand he did a pretty good job. So that's what we're really looking at. Well, some of the things that Tom's involved in, and I'll try to keep it brief here, is in the first quarter of the year, we have this thing called the Four Chaplains. How many people have heard about the Four Chaplains? Good. There's a movie that we play every year, and if you haven't seen it, it'll bring tears to your eyes. It's really a great movie to watch. Okay, and this year we'll probably have it at church someplace because we've been getting turned up there. Then we go on into the spring, and every month we meet for the parade committee. So sometimes Tom can't make it because he's on one of those damn school boards, But we have the parade committee, and we go through the different things that we have to do to get the parade ready. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that have to be done. And there's about 8 veterans that meet, and we get the job done. Okay? Tom puts in his 2 cents, and it's really good 2 cents. So he's really a good guy for doing that. Okay? Then we get into the fall of the year, and we have what we call Veterans Week. And this year it was a week and a half because we just ran out of schools. We had so many schools that wanted us to visit, we had to go into the Monday after Veterans Day to attend a school. And not only that, one day I went to Osborne Hill and Tom went to Holland Hill. So we got to so many schools that we couldn't do them all. We had to split up the morning or the afternoon. The kids love us. You go in there and they see all the crap you got on your chest, and they kind of look at you and talk about, well, what did you eat? Did you have to change your socks every day? Things like that. I mean, they're cute. They're really cute. And the greatest thing is visiting the classrooms. That's what we do over McKinley most of the time. Okay, so in recognizing Tom for the Fairfielder of the Year, my vote is you picked the right person. You absolutely picked the right person. He deserves it. And oh, by the way, come on, let's brag a little bit here. You see this thing right here? The President of the United States gives a Medal of Honor. In Connecticut, they give, what do they call it?
Medal of Honor.
Okay. So he is now the 135th veteran that they put into the Hall of Fame for Connecticut. It's a big deal. Okay, his name is on a plaque up there forever now. I thought I'd go up there and try to erase it or whatever, change the name, but can't do it. Okay. Tom and I both love this town. I have to tell you that. I've been here 35 years. You've been here forever, you old man. Okay. But I want to tell you, you picked the right person. He deserves it. I love this guy, and congratulations, man.
And now we'd like to hear from Riverfield Principal Brenda Anciano.
Never call you project. And Mr. Timniak, I'm speaking on behalf of you too, because that's a Riverfield family member, so I'm speaking on behalf of all of Riverfield today. It is my honor to have been asked to speak this evening on behalf of the Riverfield School community to honor Tom Quinn. According to us, there is no one more deserving to be called the Fairfield Citizen of the Year. As many of you know, Tom was the chairman of the Riverfield Building Committee and worked tirelessly to get the project effectively designed, correctly funded, and completed on time. He and a lot of people that are sitting out here in the audience today accomplished all of that and even brought the project to completion under budget. Throughout the project, he was not only concerned with the progress of the project, but also the safety and security of our staff and our students. He attended several PTA meetings in order to keep the parents informed and dropped by school often to support teachers and students while we lived through the renovation, which was quite an experience for a long time. One day, he even sent coffee and bagels to the staff just to say thank you for their patience and their support of the project. Tom has never missed an opportunity to be involved with students and has attended many of our community events. He has spoken at our Veterans Days events until other schools started stealing him, Holland Hill, and shared his love for his country with the students, staff, and the parents. He smiled his way through Patriotic Day as the students sang and collected donations for the Wounded Warrior Project in his name. Thank you for allowing me to speak about this great man. We love him at Riverfield. He is not only a colleague, but he is a friend, and there is nobody more deserving of this honor. So thank you. One more thing, the principal of Holland Hill is here tonight, and she gets to now work with Tom, which is really awesome for her.
Good for her.
Thank you, Brenda. Any comments from my colleagues on the board?
Mr. Quinn, I would like to say thank you. Thank you for serving the country. Thank you for serving the town. When we were going through the nomination forms, every one of your forms had a personal touch, and as I'm reading the things which you've done and you've been nominated for, I could picture you doing it. And I mean, I recognize you from the time I was a little kid to now. There isn't anybody more deserving of becoming Fairfielder of the Year than you, Mr. Quinn. It is, I don't want to say a lifetime achievement because there's still more to go and still add on. I would love to hand you the award again next year. As a Riverfield parent, I look at my kids running through the halls and the memories you made because of the commitment you did to serve and tackle such a massive problem and set the standard for what we're looking for in all building committees coming forward. Truly, I thank you for it. The real sign for those people at home, the hard work he did, you know what he did? He signed up to do it again. And now he's given that same level of commitment to Holland Hill. So, you know, as a guy who served the country, he's now serving the town, generations of children across the town will forever be indebted to what you've given this town and this country. Thank you.
Mr. Quinn, congratulations and thank you for everything that you have done for our town for so many years. We really appreciate it. You know, you're a distinguished veteran, a Fairfielder, a husband, a father, a grandfather. And, you know, you've got many, many accomplishments. There's a list of accomplishments here. I won't read them all because they've been touched on by previous readers, but a few that were missed. Tom was part of the Fairfield Citizen Police Academy Alumni Association. You've been with your families through Cub Scouts, through baseball, through high school. You've been a KSC council member for many years. Okay. In addition to everything that has previously been mentioned, you know, you are a Vietnam War veteran, and we really appreciate your service to our country. Thank you for that, for keeping us safe. You know, but amongst all your accomplishments, and there are many, you know, I had a chance to speak to your son Jim for a few moments this afternoon, and we talked a little bit about your family, you know, your wife Grace. You've been married 53 years, and you still live in the same house on Myro Street that you bought, you know, back in 1974, I believe it was. So, I mean, that is a true Fairfielder. You've raised 5 boys. You know, Tom and James and Patrick, Peter and Michael, plus John Ball, plus your adopted son, John Bell. And listen to these accomplishments by his children. He has 2 lawyers, a professor, a Secret Service agent, a Norwalk police officer, and a business owner. That's some pretty good work. Congratulations. You have 10 grandchildren that you're very much proud of. All of your boys were altar boys at Assumption Church right through the age of 18. And Jim told me it was okay to mention the fact that at home, the boys call you the general. Because, because as Ron mentioned, you are not afraid to make decisions, right? And whether that's family, military, or for the town, or for a school building project, you've always done it, in a fair yet firm way with all consideration to all parties. And we want to thank you very much for all of that and all your service, and you're a very well-deserved recipient for this award. Thank you.
Mr. Quinn, there's obviously a lot that's been said about you. You'll get a chance to have a rebuttal in a few minutes. And I'll be brief with mine because I don't want to repeat what's been said. Obviously, there are two outstanding things in terms of your contributions to the town where you spent a lot of hours, a lot of time, and made a real impression on our town. One is in your capacity as building chair. You've really set the bar high in terms of how you run the committee, run the projects, and how you get the job done. When I look at that, there are two things that come out to me. One is that we've had many talks one-on-one, and I've come to learn that I can trust you to keep me updated on what's taking place, what we need to be looking at, what's happening, and what may be happening in the future, which is invaluable in terms of helping our town deal with building projects. And certainly Riverfield had its twists and turns as we went through that. And thank you for helping us manage that process, but importantly for how you kept me up to date and kept me in the loop, and I very much appreciate that. The other thing that's clear from all the comments is not only were you the building committee chair, and I don't know how you do this so well, but you actually become part of the school community. When we walked around Riverfield to school fair, you knew everybody. You were amazing. But I think it's that love of your job, love of commitment, but also your love for the community that makes you part of the community and makes you so well loved by that community as you go through that. When I look at what you do for the veterans, it's much the same. You've taken on the charge of helping pass the torch to the next generation. Our schools create the facility, but you make sure the veterans are there. You make sure the kids know what it means to be a veteran. I've listened to you talk so that the kids will understand what it means and what's been part of your life, what they need to know. And I think that makes our entire community stronger for how we respect our veterans, the sacrifices they made, and you've been the primary teacher of that. So I want to thank you for what that's meant to our community. And just congratulations again. Excuse me, General, you haven't been given the mic yet.
But I have the mic.
Mr. Quinn, a few remarks if you'd like.
Thank you. First of all, thank you all for the very kind lies that you all told. I appreciate that. I care about this community. I care about everybody here. Mostly, I care about my family. And I thank you all for coming. And I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you, General.
And as I mentioned, the Fairfield of the Year Award we're co-Fairfield of the Year. And in another very unique situation, the other winner of Fairfield Award has been awarded posthumously to Robert Frigo. Bob Frigo sadly passed away this past October, but his memory lives on with the 25 nomination forms that were submitted to highlight and honor Bob's great work for our town. I wish to call on Bob's son, Mark, and any other family member up front, and I wish to ask the following people to come up to the podium to speak briefly. First, we'll have Kristen Tierney, former chair of the Board of Library Trustees.
All right, I think that's live. It's my honor to have known such a wonderful man. I met Bob when my oldest son was in second grade about 10 years ago, and now he's heading off to college. And when I would go to the meetings, Les Schrager would sit on one side of me, and he was in charge of the movies. He did the movie program for mostly the seniors at the time. And he was also an art lover, and I'm an art history major, so we had a lot in common, and I'd sit next to Bob. And we went through a lot while we were on the board. We did a feasibility study for the branch, we went through an executive search, and some pretty crazy times with the economic downturn. And I learned a lot from him. He was a very wise and humble man who loved Fairfield, but loved his family more. And as I was raising my young family, he'd always impart a little bit of wisdom about time spent volunteering or commitment to work or time with family, and both what he loved about his career and his regrets about his career. And through it, we had this phenomenal bond, and he reminded me a lot of my father, and my father had said a lot of the same things. You know, their job was to go out and work and provide for their family, and they really then realized, wow, did I miss out on things or didn't I miss out on things? And he really worked hard on those relationships with his family. And I will tell you that today meeting his son was a real honor for me because I heard so much about him over the years. And to meet his grandson, I have to say, he loved you both very, very much. And it was an honor to know him. I am better for knowing him, and I know Fairfield is better for everything that he's done. So I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak on his behalf. It was a real honor to know you, Father.
Next, I'd like to ask Terry Giekengak, our Director of Human and Social Services, and Bob's close friend, Herb Limecooler, to come up and say a few words.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Board of Selectmen, for the opportunity to remember and to honor Bob Frigo and his work on behalf of seniors in Fairfield. Bob Frigo and I met 4 years ago at the Senior Center. He was interested in helping seniors live independently and stay in their home. He wanted seniors to know about resources to help themselves and to provide care for others. He was dedicated to his wife and wanted to empower others, devoted to caring for their loved ones at home. Bob knew his way around town, and most importantly, he knew how to work with people, especially when they had different ideas and opinions. A few choice, concise sentences, and Bob could summarize the essence of what needed to be done. He persevered when met with a challenging situation. Bob brought people together. He strengthened everyone with their shared interests and passions to make good things happen for seniors. He thought, spoke, and acted with intelligence and compassion. He made a real difference. I am grateful for the example of his life and the friendship that serves as a model of how to make good things happen for the people of Fairfield with dedication, perseverance, and kindness. Thank you.
Hi, I was able to submit a letter to the editor, to the Fairfield Citizen, after Bob passed, and just want to read a couple of sentences from that. I mentioned that following a successful business career as a GE senior executive, Bob put his interpersonal and managerial skills to good use for our town. And I'll skip the other comments I was going to make because others behind me will talk toward those subjects. But I wanted to talk just a little bit about Bob's character. Because at a time when it was fashionable to be loud and opinionated, as it is today, Bob was anything but that. He was the quintessential, soft-spoken, mild-mannered, true gentleman of ages past. He opened doors through his kind demeanor, his courtesy, and his diplomacy. He cared deeply that steady progress be made on important issues that inured to the longer-term benefit of our town, and especially those less fortunate than he felt he was. He'll be sorely missed by all of us, but I really believe the example that he set for us will be carried on. Thanks very much to his family, and I know he was really close to them. I had the privilege of meeting Mark, and your dad really will live on with us, and we really appreciate everything he's given to us. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd like to invite Jan Reber up to say a few words.
Thanks for the opportunity to discuss Bob Frigo and why he deserves this award. I've been asked by some of Bob's colleagues and friends to make a composite statement. I'd also like to thank Jen Carpenter, who behind the scenes makes all this happen and has really helped us out a lot with this. Bob came to Fairfield because of his employment at General Electric. He fell in love with the town and chose to retire here. He was part of a cohort of senior managers from GE who, along with some of their spouses, have made important volunteering contributions. Bob's activities for Fairfield reflected his business expertise, and it's worth taking a brief look at that history because it informs why he received this award today. Bob was appointed by GE's chief financial officer to consolidate and centralize financial services operations across dozens of U.S. business units and scores of subunits. His execution of that monumental task reflected careful planning and organizational skills, but also demonstrated his diplomacy, his ability to convince business leaders that his consolidation plan was best for their particular operations. Bob's success at that assignment was widely regarded as a model inside GE, but it created more work for Bob. He was asked to do the same thing in Europe and then to help to centralize GE's far-flung travel centers. Bob's leadership, careful planning, and team building became the standard for GE's approach to business integration. Bob's skill at planning and team building were evident in his work at Fairfield's Affordable Housing Committee, which he co-chaired. One of his primary objectives was to establish a housing trust fund to help finance the construction of affordable housing. Our representative town meeting just took the first step in implementing that fund this week. He also helped develop Fairfield's Affordable Housing Strategic Plan, which has been praised as a model by the Connecticut Department of Housing. Bob lobbied in Hartford on affordable housing issues and organized Fairfield Senior Advocates Housing Initiative. Bob also appeared at Board of Finance public meetings to discuss best practices. It's important to see these volunteer efforts not only in the context of Bob's business experience, but also in light of his personal life. Bob worked tirelessly on town issues when he was in his 80s, and until just a few weeks before his death. Bob's wife suffered from serious physical conditions, but Bob fully cared for her while still upholding his town commitments. The posthumous honor of Fairfielder of the Year is a fitting and well-deserved recognition of Bob Frigo's devotion to Fairfield, the town he loved.
Thank you. And next, could I ask Cindy Samarco, Chair of our Affordable Housing Committee?
Hi, I just wanted to say thank you for nominating Bob. He was a great friend, and he was a great co-chair with the Affordable Housing Committee. Bob became a member of the Affordable Housing Committee in 2014, and he immediately immersed himself in the committee's action plan. He felt passionate about the creation of a housing trust fund. He worked tirelessly with other committee members in researching the feasibility of the plan, speaking with planning and zoning officials in neighboring towns, and meeting with local leadership in order to gain support for the proposal. In 2016, a vacancy for co-chair of the committee became available, and I was honored that he agreed to fill the position. He never missed a meeting. It was a great pleasure to work beside someone who was so committed to create affordable housing in our town while balancing the needs and concerns of our community. Earlier this year, Bob and I were invited to testify before the State Housing Committee regarding amending the state's affordability statute. Bob spent countless hours preparing written testimony in support of this amendment and provided a perspective as a senior aging in the community. He was passionate about Fairfield and specifically focused on creating housing options for seniors aging in place. Most importantly, it was an honor to call Bob my friend. I'm incredibly happy he was chosen to receive this award. And on another note, I would like to congratulate Mark Barnhart. He's been an advisor to the Affordable Housing Committee. His knowledge and his counsel have proven to be an invaluable asset, and we could not have accomplished any of our goals without him. Thank you.
Next, I turn to my colleagues. Would you have anything to add?
I certainly would. When we get the nominations in, we scroll through them and we look to see what stands out and what doesn't stand out. And one thing which certainly stood out was 25 of Bob's friends and colleagues took the time to fill out the form and list marquee examples which I would say sets what we're looking for in a role model in town. Bob clearly demonstrated through his years of service to Fairfield that he was able to take his skills and the assets he learned while working at GE and convert them to what the town needs to help Fairfield solve some of its biggest challenges right now. That's the example I look for in almost every person we appoint to a building committee, any committee in town, someone who can take what they're good at and apply it to what we need here in Fairfield. And Bob said that. I can't think of anybody more deserving right now, besides Tom Quinn, to receive this award. So thank you for coming.
Kevin?
Yes, thank you to your family for Bob's contributions to our town. For over 30 years, he's worked really hard for our town, for our seniors and for affordable housing, for our libraries, and he's done that with kindness and compassion along the way. We wouldn't have the library system that we have today, the buildings that we have, the resources that we have, if it was not for the dedication of Bob and other members of the Board of Trustees who have worked long and hard to maintain that valued asset for our town. He understood the value of the libraries to our town. As well with seniors and affordable housing, a subject that's near and dear to a lot of people's hearts and something that we need to continue to solve. He was ahead of his time in his thinking and his ideas in putting money aside and finding ways that we can keep our seniors in our town and do it in an affordable, sensible way. And that leadership will carry forward for generations as we get better and better at finding resources for seniors and disabled people who need them. And above all, he did it as a gentleman. Everyone you've heard speak tonight will tell you, if you met him, you met a man of kindness and compassion and understanding, and he was a professional, and he took his business and educational resources and used them to benefit our town, a town that we all live in and a town that we will all live in for many years, and it's a much better place because of the effect that Bob Frigo had on our town. Thank you so much.
And I'd like to concur what my colleague said and what you've heard before. I had a chance to work with Bob in a number of capacities. First, as chair of the library board. And in that capacity, we had a lot of opportunity to work one-on-one, and it was early in my tour as first selectman. So it was great to have somebody like Bob to sit down and learn from as you go through it, get his perspective. And that helps shape your vision for what the library can be, should be, and might be as we go through all that. Second, as our town has grown, evolved, and focused on the need of helping our seniors, both age in place, find affordable housing, and find amenities so that Fairfield has the best quality life for our seniors as well as for all of our citizens. Bob was a key component of looking for how we do that. I think it's that leadership. What you've heard is how he took his skills and how he threw himself into these roles. these very critical needs for the town. Think about it: the library, affordable housing, our seniors, very important needs, not necessarily sexy, high-profile things that get a lot of recognition, but nonetheless very important to all members of our community. So I want to thank his family for sharing Bob with us. I know he sacrificed time with his family members to be here, and I want to thank you for your support in encouraging and helping him make his commitment, if you will, his legacy to our town in these very important programs. Thank you, and would you care to say a few words?
Thank you for nominating my father and the kind words that you have said. He did work tirelessly at the town in trying to improve it. And often when I spoke with him, he would talk with pride in what he and the committees were doing in terms of the affordable housing or transportation for the seniors. And that became an important part of his life. And the hard work and the dedication he put in, I realized that, and I've learned from that. And I hope to pass that on to my son and my daughter as well. I'm honored and I'm proud of my father, and I'm grateful that he was able to help the community. And I know that when we spoke, he fervently believed, as you said, he put everything into it. And I hope that what was started will continue to help improve the town. So again, thank you for your kind words and his nomination.
We're now going to move on with the rest of the agenda. In noting the crowd here, I would point out two things. One is that you are welcome to stay. However, if you choose the alternative, which is to leave, I would ask that you leave quietly as we conduct the rest of our meeting. Yes. General, yes. You call that a retreat, Tom?
Are we really doing this, or is this having a show up?
That was just basically having a show.
So we take off.
Is he staying? Where is Mark?
I saw him in the back of it. Totally.
It's funny, we did this one time for Tom Stanky when he got Employee of the Year. Tom actually prepared a whole big presentation. He brought charts and stuff. Okay, Tom, Stu.
I did see him in the back as well.
Yeah, I've been asked to point out to Mark Barnhart, if you're still here, that item 8 on the agenda was just to get you to show up. You don't need to give us that update. We all enjoyed Restaurant Week.
Or Shop and Straw.
Next up, actually, item 5 is recognition of a resident for being inducted in the Connecticut Veterans Hall of Fame. That was Tom Quinn, and that item was put on here to get Tom Quinn to show up so he would know what we're up to. So that was certainly mentioned. That's certainly a prestigious honor, and we're all proud of Tom for having been recognized as such and being inducted into the Connecticut Veterans Hall of Fame class of 2017. Moving on, item number 6, resignations, and these are for information only. From the Golf Commission, Philip Collin from 111 Arbor Terrace for a term of 11/14 to 11/19. His resignation date was December 4, 2017. And from the Land Acquisition Commission, James Jura, Republican, 1158 Mill Hill Road for a term 11/16 to 11/20 as an alternate, and he's resigning because he moved on from an alternate to a full member. His resignation date is December 5th, 2017. Next up, reappointments. To hear, consider, and act upon the following reappointments. Okay to do them both at once?
Yes.
To the Burr Gardens Advisory Committee, Ellen Gould, unaffiliated, 648 Harbor Road, for a term 11/17 to 11/20, and Lisa Callahan, Republican, 290 Beach Road, for a term of 11/17 to 11/20. And these are both due to term modifications. May I have a motion to accept?
Make a motion.
A second?
Second.
All right. Are Ellen and Lisa here? No, they had noted that they might not be able to show up. They're currently on the committee. As the committee knows, we approved a different charge for them, and as part of that, they're staggering the terms, and this is kind of the first step in getting those terms staggered, so there'll always be some institutional knowledge still on the committee as things turn over. Any further comments from the board? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, we're back to the board. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Ms. Gould, Ms. Callahan, thank you very much for your commitment to the Burr Gardens Advisory Committee. Item 8, to hear, consider, and act upon the following reappointments. We'll take these one commission at a time. To the Historic District Commission, and this requires RTM approval. Rosina Grun, unaffiliated, 952 Old Post Road, for a term 11/17 to 11/22. And this is to fill a vacancy for Tom Daly, whose term expired. Ms. Negron is moving from an alternate to a full member. May I have a motion to accept?
Make a motion.
A second?
Second.
Any comments from the board? I believe Ms. Negron wasn't able to make it tonight. She's currently obviously serving on the commission. Any comments from the board?
No, she's got a great background and a great resume, and thank you for continuing to serve.
No, I'm all set. Thank
Okay.
you. Fantastic.
She was appointed to the board as an alternate not that long ago, and I was very impressed with her background and resume when she did, and I'm thrilled she's willing to step up to be a full member. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, back to the board. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next up, for the Police Commission, Walter Flynn, Democrat, 338 Queens Grant Road, term 11/17 to 11/22, and this is to fill a vacancy for Arthur Hirsch, whose term expired. May I have a motion to accept?
Motion.
A second?
Second.
Any comments from the board?
Thank you for his service to the town.
I just want to thank Mr. Flynn for coming back to the commission. He's got a great background. He brings a wealth of experience and knowledge about our town and the police commission and various boards and commissions he has served on for our town for many years, and I'm honored to welcome him back.
I'd concur with both those. I think that Mr. Flynn is well respected by everyone in town who's had a chance to meet him. I think he'll represent the town very well, as he has in the past. I think he's the kind of quality individual that is great to have volunteering for our town, and I'm thrilled that he's stepping up to be on the police commission. Any further comments from the public? Back to the board. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Congratulations, Mr. Flynn. Moving on, it's item 9, Director of Community and Economic Development. This was the item we added to the agenda to get Mark Barnhart to show up for his award. So we'll move on from that. Item 10 is the Osborne Hill School Building Committee. That's a motion to disband. The committee asked that we hold off on that till one of our next meetings. We'll come back, and so I'm asking we take no action on that and just move on. That will come back to us in January. Next up, from the Director of Human and Social Services, this requires Board of Finance and RTM approval. To hear, consider, and act upon the following resolution as recommended by the Director of Human and Social Services. Whereas, as part of the Senior Center 5-year bus...
Motion to waive the reading of...
All right, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Giegengak, I'm asking you to come to the podium, and if you would, please step us through a bit of what, since we didn't read the whole motion, step us through the basics of what you're asking about, so everybody following at home will know what we're up to.
Thank you. The Connecticut Department of Transportation has awarded the town of Fairfield $48,000. This is their grant towards capital bus improvement for people with disabilities and has a handicap wheelchair access. We are in need of maintaining our fleet. We have 5 buses. 3 are on the roads every day, 2 days a week. 4 are on the roads every day doing shopping for seniors. So we want to keep up with our rotation plan, and this would be in keeping with adding to the fleet so that we can keep our seniors safe and they can continue with transportation. There will be a match that the town will be using from their donations account for the senior center of between $12,000 to $15,000 to complement and purchase the bus for $60,000 to $63,000. The next step will be in January, February, when we go through the procurement process. It will be the same kind of bus that we've always had, 13 passengers, and the bus that it was the most in need of being put in reserve will be done, and the other will be, as I understand, turned in. The actual bus rolls in the parking lot, if you will, next fall. So it does take some time to get it, but it will be here and start up for the fall. Any questions?
Just one, Mr. Timiak was kind of pointing out, we didn't move the item yet, so if I could have a motion to accept? A second?
Second.
All right, this item is now before us now. Any questions from Ms. Giegengak?
No, thank you for going out of your way to secure this grant. Getting money from the state of Connecticut right now is difficult, so take it while we have it, and thank you. Look forward to having the bus in January, I guess, right?
Probably October, November next year. The
Okay.
January is when we will go through the process to procure it,
Okay.
and then it'll come in the fall.
Do you have any
Thank you.
comments?
Just a quick one. So the bus is 63,000, give or take, right? And the grant's 48, so the other 15 or so, you're proposing for it to come out of a fund you mentioned. Could you talk a bit about that?
It is the senior center donations account. So when the seniors do a mum sale or anything, or the gift shop, all that adds up, and we are kind of putting it aside for a renovation of the kitchen. So that's our hope, intention for that. But in the meantime, this was an opportunity I didn't want to pass up.
No, I think just following on what Mr. Kiley said, that means no tax dollars are being spent on the acquisition of this bus.
Correct.
Right. So one, thank you for that, especially in this economy, this budget era. Thank you for saving every penny we can in terms of getting that through. The age of the bus being replaced is, how old is the bus being replaced? As I understand, you're kind of bumping everything down the line so that there's 2, but one is going out of active duty and will be a reserve bus, and the reserve bus is what's going to be disposed of. What, do you have the age of the reserve bus that's being disposed of, and the bus that's being taken off active duty? This is a lot, I think, similar to what our fire department does with some of their vehicles and trucks, where they bump them down and then use them for backup and reserves.
Okay, so the bus that will be is the 2007 Ford bus. It has about a month ago, 102,000
miles.
Right. So it's due to be replaced in 2018.
Okay, which bus is due to be replaced in 2018?
So this is on the replacement year for this particular bus. This is the 2007 bus with the miles of 102,000.
Okay, now is that currently active? Is that being used during the week, or is that the bus that's in reserve?
Oh, I'm sorry. That is buses that's going to be, right. The current reserve bus will be, 2005. That one will go into reserve, Mike, First Selectman. I think that's the bus that will go into reserve. The one right now that's in reserve that'll probably be sold is the 2005 Ford bus, and that has over 100,000.
Okay, so basically, we're getting about 100,000 miles and about 10 years of life out of each of these buses as we keep them in our rotation. Then
Yes.
we move them to reserve, or they get a lot less mileage, and we get a few more years out of them.
Correct.
And we're buying a new bus about, is it every other year now, or every 3 years?
We have every other year. So our most recent purchase was the one that we did for in 2016. We purchased another Ford bus. So that has 60,000. It's not due to be replaced until 2026.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Any further questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, back to the board. Are we ready to vote? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Next up,
Can we take both these together?
sure, we'll put them, what Mr. Timniak's request is we take both these together. I think if we basically move and second each one, we can have them both in front of us. Let me go through first and I think read both of these because they're pretty short. Item number 12 from the Harbor Management Commission. This requires Board of Finance and RTM approval to hear, consider, and act upon the following resolution. It's recommended by the Harbor Management Commission. Whereas it is in the best interest of the town of Fairfield to expend a total of $13,000 for a project entitled Fairfield Harbor Management Plan Update and Amend, $6,500 of said project cost to be funded by a small harbor improvement projects program or SHIP grant as administered by the Connecticut Port Authority, CPA. Now therefore it be it resolved that Michael C. Tetro, First Selectman, be and hereby is authorized to accept the name of and on behalf of the town of Fairfield a small harbor improvement projects program grant from the Connecticut Port Authority in the amount of $6,500. And further resolved, the First Selectman is hereby authorized on behalf of the town to sign and execute any and all necessary documents to secure said grant. Further resolved that $13,000 is hereby appropriated to fund such project. Item 13, also from the Harbor Management Commission, also requiring Board of Finance and RTM approval, is to hear, consider, and act upon the following resolution as recommended by a Harbor Management Commission, where it's in the best interest of the town to expend $277,478.20 for a project entitled Southport Harbor Boat Launch Reconstruction. $266,000 of said project cost to be funded by a small harbor improvement projects program grant is administered by the Connecticut Port Authority. Now therefore, be it resolved that Michael C. Tetro, First Selectman be and hereby is authorized to accept the name of and on behalf of the town of Fairfield a small harbor improvement projects program grant from the Connecticut Port Authority in the amount of $266,000. Further resolved that the First Selectman is hereby authorized on behalf of the town to sign and execute any and all necessary documents to secure said grant. And further resolved that $277,478.20 is hereby appropriated to fund said project. May I have a motion to move both those?
Make a motion.
And a second for both those?
Second.
All right, so both items are now before the board. Would you please
Hi.
introduce yourselves to the
Yes,
folks at
I'm
home?
Jim
and-
Harmon. I'm the chairman of the Harbor Management Commission, and this is Bill Hurley, the town engineer. And we're here to ask you to accept these two grants. The first of them is to update the Harbor Commission's Harbor Management Plan, which is the policy framework that gives us guidance and justification for all of our decisions. This plan was originally adopted by the RTM in 1995. It's long overdue for an update. A lot of the original objectives in the plan have been accomplished, and we have some new challenges and goals, particularly incorporating a plan to deal with the ever-growing sandbar at the mouth of the harbor, which threatens to block the channel. So the first of the two grants, the smaller one, is for $6,500 from the Port Authority and an approximately equal amount to be paid from the town's mooring maintenance account, which is funded by fees that are paid by the mooring holders. So no tax money really, it's usage fees that are going into that account. So the total expenditure is going to be about $13,000, with half of that paid for by the state grant. The second grant, also from the Port Authority, is for $266,000. That's the amount that we'll be getting or hope to get. Planned has been appropriated by the Port Authority for this project. And what that'll allow us to do is to complete a project that we've been planning and working on for over 10 years, to make improvements at the Yee Yacht Yard, which is the small town boat yard in Southport. In particular, we're planning to dredge the area near the boat launching ramp and the dinghy docks there, so as to make them usable at low tide. If you look at the documents that were circulated, you can see that at low tide, the ramp basically leads to a mud flat right now. So until the tide is about halfway up, you can't really use that ramp. The dredging will make that area 3 to 6 feet deep at low tide, so the ramp will be usable. The ramp and also the dinghy docks will be usable at all stages of the tide. So we have all the DEEP and Corps of Engineers permits in place to do this dredging. There is a small additional cost to the town of about $11,500 to complete the improvements to the ramp that we mostly did in 2016. And the money for this will come from a capital account that was allocated many years ago, which currently, it was originally $150,000, and it currently has about $42,000 in it. So there's no new money in that sense going into this project, and the vast majority of it being paid for by the state grant.
My position's always been very clear on this. The Fairfield residents send a lot of money to the state of Connecticut, and this is one of the programs they choose to give it back. So any opportunity we have to take advantage of state money coming to Fairfield, you have my full endorsement on it. And thank you for applying. Thank you for noticing that this was available. Thank you for getting it.
I might mention that this is an ongoing program, so they're going to be giving grants out every year, and we'll be looking for more opportunities to apply for more money like this.
Mr. Kiley?
Just a couple quick things. On the plan, so it's been since 1995 since the plan was updated, really?
Yes, that's right.
That's a long time, so that's well overdue.
Yes, I mean, we've done a lot since then. There was a major federal dredging project in 2004 and so on. And as I said, a lot of the original problems that we needed to deal with at that time have been resolved. So it's been 22 years.
How long does it take to get an update like that? Is that a 6 or 12-month process?
We're anticipating it'll be a 12-month process.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to get some revisions, and then it does have to go through the town bodies to be approved and accepted, yes.
Right. Yeah. And the dredging project, the project sounds like it's well overdue, and it's much needed, and it's very affordable.
Yes,
So.
absolutely. And the schedule for that is largely determined by the shellfish and so on, fish permits and spawning periods. So we're anticipating that we'll be able to do that starting around November of 2018 and have it finished by the end of that year.
I just wanted to add that Fairfield was one of only 4 municipalities that were awarded the dredging projects in the state. So I just wanted to mention that as well.
And thank you for the, oh, yes.
Did you want?
I was just going to say thank you for those efforts.
A couple things just to clarify. One, it's my understanding the Connecticut Port Authority was only established a couple years ago?
Yes, that's right. This is the first round of these SHIP grants that they've funded. Most of their efforts are going into the larger commercial ports in the state, but they're also required to send some money our way, which is what they're doing, so.
Well, I know that you and I spent a very sunny afternoon touring Pequot and Southport Harbor with the chairman of the new Port Authority.
That's right, we showed him our sandbars, so.
Yes, so we could show him exactly what was taking place and help make the case for our need for those. And I think we also made the case at that point, or laid out our concern, that the Port Authority would focus its time on the larger harbors like New Haven and not really take time with harbors like Southport Harbor that we have a number of throughout the state. So I think that one, thank you for the work you did, literally going back 2 years to put us in this position, to make sure we're getting this tax dollar free, if you will. Second, it's some recognition of that we're one of the first 4, as Mr. Hurley mentioned, to be handed out. So
For the dredging projects, yeah.
for another one on the dredging project.
And
Well,
one of the things
that was
that
the big bucks one. If we're not one of the first one, a $6,000 one, that's less of an issue. But for $200,000, $260,000, it's nice to be one of the first 4. Mr. Hurley, you're an engineer. I assume we owe you responsibility for the cost of this project at $277,478.20.
A combination of myself and the consulting engineer.
20?
worked on-
How much of a
I know,
contingency
that's how
do we
they-
have in
on this form here, I rounded it off, but yeah, on the original one, that's the paperwork that's involved.
right.
There was one grant, they wanted it within 7 cents, so believe it or
I'm
not.
duly impressed with the tolerance that you work at. And again, I just, as my colleagues have said, I want to say thank you for your work in going through to put us in position to get these grants. And literally, I know since we took that boat ride tour 2 years ago, I know it's been 2 years in the making, so thank you very much for that.
You're very welcome.
Any further comments from the board?
No.
Any comments from the public? Seeing none, back to the board. Are you ready to vote? All in favor? Aye. And that's for both items, because they're both in front of us. Correct. Thank you for clarifying, Mr. Timiak.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Next up, from the tax collector, to consider and act upon tax refunds as recommended by the tax collector in the amount of $65,116.73. May I have a motion to accept?
Make a motion.
A second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
I confirm that the numbers match.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next up, from the town attorney, a private executive session with pending litigation. May I have a motion to move in a private executive session?
Make a motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Mine is. All right, thank you. May I have a motion to come back into public session?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
While in private executive session, no motions are made, no votes were taken. Next up, to hear and consider and act upon any other business which should properly come before this meeting. I don't know of any, but
I want to wish everybody happy holidays at home. Enjoy the time with your friends and family.
Harley?
Happy holiday season and a great 2018.
And I concur with both my colleagues. A Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year. May we have a white Christmas, but not on any of our roads. All right, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, and good night.